Hello, Bobby aka Anarcha here. And in this video, I would like to talk about what makes Batman Batman. Now, over the years, the Comics character Batman has had a multitude of of interpretations from the Knight of Faith, the Dark Knight of Justice, the Caped Crusader, the chummy super friend of the Silver Age, the um, brooding gothic detective, the lonely hero, the pulp vigilante, and a number of interpretations, both philosophical, sociological, and political, have emerged of the the winged mammal masked billionaire over the years. From a representation of capitalistic philanthropy to a libertarian paragon to a broken man hiding behind wealth, status, and superhero violence. To a reactionary um to a reactionary representation of the Gotham elite. And whilst many of these interpretations are valid, some more so than others, I believe that all of them ultimately miss the deeper points of the character on a philosophical level. And many of the live action film and television appearances of the film do as well. Um, mm. Now, to be fair, for much of my life, I also missed many of the nuances of Batman's character, even having seen the animated series. Um, and of course, one of the questions that keeps coming up is why is it DC Comics keeps going back to that night in Crime Alley? Why do they keep going back to the backstory even though we all know it already? And and then um a thought occurred to me um occurred to me with and a realization after seeing Joker um and the DCAMU films as well as Gotham. Now, a lot of people believe that Batman is Bruce Wayne's authentic self, which is a fair notion because obviously the Bruce Wayne that he presents to the rest of the Gotham elite is not his authentic self. That's simply a shallow, um, lesser version of his father's ideals as a businessman and rich party boy in his younger years. Mm. How, however, however, that image keeps coming back of the boy kneeling and sobbing at his dead parent's side in Crime Alley. And why does that image keep coming back? Because that is Batman's actual authentic self. That um, that young Bruce is not only the motivation for becoming Batman, but the formation of his entire perspective on life. And what is that perspective? That perspective is a very specific form of existentialism, which I can relate to, which basically states that which comes easily can never be permanent. And this is of course a view that is very much formed from experience from that night. Also, the logic of the no killing rule is frequently misunderstood. Um, it's not necessarily that he expects his to um um rogues to turn good because he lets them live. It's because redemption is 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 all too often seen as expecting perfection, but in reality, that's far from what redemption is. That's what the League of Assassins use to, you perfectionism is what the League of Assassins use to excuse their eco-terrorist ways, um, as well as Poison Ivy. Redemption is not about perfection, it's about giving people, no matter what they may have done wrong, a chance to better themselves. And 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 another thing the films tend to misunderstand is Joker hates Batman not only because he is, as the Dark Knight says, incorruptible, and which even Batman himself knows is not entirely true, but he has to appear that way. And he appears that way through self-discipline. He appears that way because he knows he has the potential to be as violent as the worst of his rogues. But he chooses not to be. He chooses to transcend that. He chooses to allow every criminal a chance for redemption. And in Batman Year 2, we learn why. See, when in in Batman Year 2, which the upcoming film The Batman will be in part based on, along with The Long Halloween, which also inspired part of Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. Bruce Wayne says in a monologue, upon meeting the killer of his parents, Joe Chill, once again as an old man. I believed him the lowest of men. I believed him the lowest sort of man. Yet he was broken, sick with guilt over what he had done. And 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 these thugs, these sickos, they are his children, and they truly are the unrepentant freaks that I once believed him to be. And what the the universality of Batman in DC Comics is the fact that they are byproducts of the depression, and yet they transcend and evolve beyond the depression. much like the reason Marvel has endured is because it is a byproduct of the Cold War, World War II, and the space race, yet transcends all of that as well. Comic books have always been political. It's just, um, previously codes have been put in place to limit and restrict what those politics could be, how far they could reach. We should not despair over more open politics in comics. We should rather welcome the fact that those politics have been able to transcend the times which once limited them and the restrictions which 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 once held them back from being even more universal and inclusive than they they once had the potential or the recognition to even be able to be. Bobby A.K. Anarcha Media, Liberty, Equality, Fraternity, goodbye.